Welcome back to Warzone and welcome aboard the He-177A5. Well, not initially, because I will make it in some way like a tank review, this time a plane review. So I want to talk a little bit about some theory crafting, about the potential of this amazing aircraft, and a lot of the misunderstanding. Now I have to make it clear. While there is some rightful criticism that I'm not the best tanker and maybe also not the best pilot when it comes to fighters, I'm one hell of a bomber pilot, and this is not exaggerating because I have flown every bomber in the game and I try to make them work. You can have a look at certain videos of mine, for example the Motorhead cover, where in the background I show you some bomber flying with light bombers, medium bombers, heavy bombers, even swim climbing Bf-109s in a French heavy bomber, no problem for me. Also another video was, for example, the Lincoln 6 kills versus Soviets, and also shooting down American bombers, deliberate bomber hunting with another heavy bomber with weak bomb load. Also the He-177, I made another video with some mixed matches, so the format in which I interact with two gameplays at the same time. And so if you think what I show you is a fluke, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm not a space climber. I'm not a bomber pilot that goes away for or goes AFK for like 5 minutes and then say, lol, I was shot down, this plane sucks, War Thunder sucks. No, you have to make the most out of your bomber. And while the He-177 is designated as a heavy bomber, it's more like an intermediate between a medium bomber and a heavy bomber. Somewhat it reminds me of a Do-217, and also a little bit, to a certain degree, a G8N1 from the Japanese, the Rensan, which is referred to as the Death Star, which is a stupid name for it, and just because somebody else thought it would one-shot other stuff, it actually doesn't do it. It's the performance of the G8N1. And this plane also has a phenomenal combination of flight performance, defensive potential, bomb load potential, and can be used as a strike fighter to a certain degree if you know how to use the resources. And while this plane has also a lot of issues with overheat and also restricted firing angles and the way the bomb drops, overall I think I have rarely flown a bomber that is so fun to troll the enemies. We have to talk about communication, evasive actions, bomb loads, and what the He-177 can actually overall do. And I think this is a plane that was hyped, then people have flown it, I don't ruffle something, and then it's forgotten again. This is just a bit heartbreaking. And yes, while German fighter teams are making incredible things with their still very bad fighters, with ridiculous, stupid flight models, Bf-109s, Focke-Wulfs, it seems like everything was reserved for this plane to have some excellent performance, which is a kind of a little bit hidden. And the way you can outthink enemy fighters, out-gunship enemy bombers, and just do your stuff, it's way too much to explain in one video. Maybe I make numerous videos about it with certain scenes and a kill compilation or whatsoever. The plane is not something like the PV-2D, which is absolutely stupidly overpowered, especially for that battle rating and what it can do at that battle rating with that bomb load. The He-177 is still very amazing. So without further ado, let's begin with the plane review, and let's just have a look at this beautiful plane with this beautiful camouflage. And yes, I'm a little bit of a fanboy here, and it's the performance. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's German or something. In fact, I'd wish it had some other defensive gun types, so to speak, because they have some issues. But nevertheless, let's have a look at it. So first of all, armor, and yeah, the plane actually has some. Sadly, nothing around the engines, to which I will come later, but the cockpit has here some protection, especially the pilot from the rear is protected. I think I never got actually pilot sniped from behind, and even from the front, for some bizarre reason, I think I never got pilot sniped. It might be possible, but I think at that point where I died then to a pilot snipe, it didn't matter because the plane was on fire, heavily damaged, and I already had killed 1 or 2 enemy bombers and or fighters. Then we also have here a bit protection for this gunner, and this gunner here, and especially this gunner in the back is very well protected with some bulletproof glass and some heavily sloped steel plating of 9mm. So if a fighter sits behind you, even with 50 cals, he might have his sweet damn hard time to snipe the gunner. And this gunner operates a German MG151-20 that fires mine shells. Now with that is associated low muzzle velocity, difficult to aim, very unprecise, very inaccurate in fact, because it's a bomber mounted 20mm, and a shame that it doesn't have a top mounted 20mm dual turret, like I have misunderstood the dev block at the time when I made my realistic expectations, so I'm sorry about this. But yeah, and also the gunner sits here and controls this remote controlled dual barrel gunner. Then we also have a gunner here for the belly, and it has some nice firing arcs, but overall the firing arcs are restricted. For example, the rudder is here in the way of this single 13mm gunner, and this dual 13mm gunner is also blocked here by this 13mm gunner. And the optimal position, for example, for an enemy target is where this Focke-Wulf sits here on the runway. So a little bit above and not directly behind you. From the front we also have a 20mm that mostly fires just a little bit like this upwards, but mostly downwards, and a single 7.92mm machine gun. Furthermore, we have a lot of fuel tanks, especially in the middle of the plane, and they are designated as self-sealing like every fuel tank in the game, but they will not be extinguished once they are on fire. And then we have those extremely powerful Daimler-Benz DB 610 24 cylinder engines, and they're basically 2 welded together DB 601, 605, something like this. They are water cooled and they produce a lot of power. Sadly, you just have 2 of them, and that means if one gets damaged, and they always get damaged by flak, by enemy bomber gunners, if I go into gunship mode, or by enemy fighters, they will die a long death, or an even shorter death if they get multiple hits. And just to talk about the power output of them, you can outspeed enemy fighters at altitude, 0.1, if they try to climb after you, you just can whoop, 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 away. And yes, that was a professional expression. But honestly, this thing is amazing at also returning to base. And for example, I can give you a timestamp. I was once on Sicily, I returned to base, and this is one of the easiest heavy bombers to land, to be honest. And I started from the airfield, and 5 minutes later, I was over the enemy base at 2 kilometers altitude with the full 6.6 tons of bomb load 5 minutes later. This actually has the possibility to return to base and to actually keep on fighting. This is how powerful the bomber is. And then let's talk obviously about the bomb load. The stock bomb load of 48, 50 kilogram bombs, not very good. Tier 1 upgrade, SC250, 12 of them. You can delete now 2 bombing points with dropping 6 on each. And you also have a bit more possibility to drop on ground units and so forth. But the 6 500 kilograms offer you the same dropping potential. They are easier to drop because you just have to tap the spacebar, where I have my bombing release key binding, just 3 times instead of 6 times, which is much easier. And then this is a tier 2 upgrade. As a tier 3 upgrade, we get the ETC 1000L bombing pylon, and that allows you to mount 4 1000 kilogram bombs. This is the same bomb load as the Do-217. However, the Do-217 has 3 bomb drops. So the first bombs which are mounted outside gets released first, and then you have 2 further drops of single bombs. With this, you can drop them single in single launches, so to speak. So you have 4 bomb drops, for example in Tank RP, if you really fancy your chances, because they are all mounted internally. Again, you just can take out 2 bombing points, and you're wasting a little bit of bomb weight here. But you also have bigger splash radius against ground targets, even in RRB, and the plane review is here mostly focused on RRB. Then we also have the SC-1800 ×2. Those are big bombs. Those are the so-called Satans, and the SC mounting is here not in the bomb bay, sadly, so outside. So you have one release of well, the full 3,600 kilograms. And they have a splash radius of 34 meters. That is amazing. And I theorized a little bit if you could get them working on Norway with the 2 bombing points where they're close together and splash both bombs. I tried it once with a perfect bomb drop. It didn't work. In fact, I just didn't drop any of the bomb bases, you know. And that is kind of a shame. It would have been nice to do so, but the real prize is here, this upgrade here, where you have 2 1,800 kilogram bombs mounted under the wings, and also 6 500 kilogram bombs in the bomb bay. And while you can open the bomb bays nowadays, even before you release the 1,800 kilogram bombs, sadly it doesn't help, because you just simply drop the SC-1800s first. One of those bombs would be enough to destroy a bombing point, but you release 2 of them, so you waste again a little bit of potential. And this means that actually with this full bomb load on paper, you have enough payload to destroy the entire 3 enemy bombing points and the airfield with 4 fully upgraded bombers. And this is where we get really into the problem. First of all, you waste bomb load, and the first bomber has to destroy all 3 bombing points, so that in the first run the other 3 bombers can then wipe out the enemy airfield, because 1 full drop will take out 1/3 of the base health, so to speak. And this is rarely the case. In fact, I have seen it not once. And the problem to a certain degree is also, well, that the American planes are very good at intercepting you, better than the Germans are capable of intercepting Allied bombers. Go figure. And then furthermore, the lack of communication within the German team. And this is the first point of criticism about German teams. As good as they are with their inferior planes or their inferior fighters against the Allied fighters, now we have a problem that we see a German bomber spam, as I rightfully predicted. In every game, or the overwhelming majority of games, I see 4 German bombers. Do-217s, which try to grind for the Heinkel 177, and also Heinkel 177. And while I know that it takes a while for the average player to get enough RP and silver lines to not just research the Heinkel 177, but also to buy it and to upgrade it and to fly it and get used to it, the lack of communication, the lack of will to commit for a risky maneuver, I am personally shocked how bad German bomber pilots are. Even Allied bombers show some skill. I'm not kidding. So, what the plane actually can do is very difficult to describe. But the top speed is lying, because this thing can go faster in a dive with over 650 kilometers an hour. With 680 kilometers an hour, the wings will slowly but surely rip off and you will lose the plane. But up to 600, the plane is more or less compressible or controllable before it goes really hard into the compression. If you get used to it, you have to train it. This is the main message. And I think without further ado, I will go now into the gameplay and just simply show you one game and later on some more scenes about it. So I hope you stay with me. So this is the first match over, well, I guess the Normandy map. This is basically France. And you can see that I'm actually using here the 4 1-ton bombs because of the later performance that I want to use. And we can see we have 3 other bombers, and this was one of the rare cases where they kind of communicated with me, and my idea was here to just drop the left and the middle base, whereas the others could go information for the right base and then move on to the airfield, and if the battle time allows it, that I would return to base and actually rearm. And sadly, a lot of people just waste their bombers afterwards, bail out, or just get shot down by a fighter without returning fire. And I cannot show you everything. I cannot really show you everything that is possible with this plane, but a little bit. This battle that just lasts like, I don't know, 7 minutes before I get shot down, in a funny way, will let you have a glimpse at what I'm talking about. So at first you can see I'm using here manual engine control to just open the radiator flaps to 60-65%, and that will allow me to web the hell out of the engines. And you can see how the heavy bomber is actually, well, not just climbing but also slightly accelerating. And this is where it gets really tricky with the experience. At which point, which enemy interceptor will be able to be at your altitude, and what you can do if he has a shot at you. Now the usual thing is to do a slight climb over half of the enemy, over half of the battlefield distance, and then usually when you're about to drop, somebody is in shooting range at you and you get shredded. And there are multiple ways around it. Now with the great performance of this heavy bomber, you actually can climb a little bit, get some altitude, safety, and then later on just level out. And with your great speed at altitude, which is so much better compared to an American heavy bomber, you know, you can actually go out of harm's way of the enemy's fighters, because while they can reach your altitude or get in shooting range, you can fly in such a way that they have a damn hard time to actually effectively get guns on you. And this, for a very short moment, this bomber, I think it was a Sterling, triggered me to just turn around and gunship the hell out of him. British bombers hate you. British bombers really hate you. And so I drop now 2 bombs, and then I go to the middle base, and you can see this is now where people say this plane sucks because of the way it turns around. And let's just level out, let's micromanage the bomber, and we are leveling good enough for the bomb drop. And now you can see the nightmare of German players. P-47s, Spitfires. Oh no, if I would be in a German fighter, I'd be dead already. I could, give the enemy the XP alright. So I turn something overly unexpected. Oh my god, a bomber that turns. And this Spitfire, well, he's not even getting guns on me in the right way. And they are too fast. And now I'm observing here the radar, and they are behind me. And you can see how little damage the P-47 does to me, and I try to get shots into him, and there he smokes, and he literally has enough. And while I didn't shoot him down, he's now out of the fight. And P-47s are extremely dangerous, not just for bombers, but also to fighters as well, with their interceptor spawn and so forth. And there we can see, look at the speed, look at the angle that I dove. In another heavy bomber, I'd be already dead. And there is the P-47. Now he has no smoke left. Let's see if we can get him into the firing angle and what we can do about him. Let's correct our aim for a little bit, and we can see how inaccurate the shells are and how long they take to reach him, and how little damage I take at distance, because how the damage works with 50 cals, and then we get a nice hit into him. And yes, I was actually smiling at this moment. I not just made it easier for my fighters, I actually killed him, and I baited him down. Much like another fighter that thinks I'm just easy prey, a P-51. And yeah, they are also dangerous, but sometimes you can trick them by maneuvering, by just showing them your side profile instead of your full profile of the wings. You can, and then just pulling up or pulling a bit of negative G, you can just reduce a lot of the damage. And again, I have done my job. I have not just destroyed a fighter, I actually did my job by destroying 2 bombing points. And now we already have it. And look, I'm opening up fire, and there we go. Let's see if we can connect the shot. Come on, come on. I don't have all day. Thank you very much. Second kill. Much like that. And I'm already on my way back home. English is difficult today. I'm sorry about this. So yeah, this plane absolutely rocks. Again, it's heavily misunderstood. Look at the speed, look at the energy retention, and so forth. This Yak 9 here is probably the French Yak 19. He's not even trying despite his, well, 37mm, because look at the speed. For him, it is impossible to catch me. As long as you can convert altitude into speed, you are so damn fast. And you surprise enemy fighters by that. So you can reduce the closing distance so that they are long enough in your firing range that you can get in the hits, that you can devastate them, make their engine smoke. And even if you die, you most likely take them with you. You also can drop bombs if you have some left because you have enough of them, and so forth. And at this point in time, the plane is already having issues with the speed. It looks slow, it feels slow, and yet I'm going way above 400 kilometers an hour. Which bomber does that? Let me know. So at this point in time, the mech is no longer usable because one engine is damaged and has an engine leak, but the other one cooled immediately down after I go back to 100%. And this is practically me running on just one engine. And yeah, it was around about this time that I did a crucial cardinal's mistake, as you might say. I didn't look around like I usually do. I always pray that you should have situational awareness and yeah, look around and prepare for the enemy's fighter. If you get surprised, even a Heinkel 177 will not save you. And now I hear it, I do a bit of a negative turn, he overshoots and he comes back. My autogunners, which are bad, even open up. And so yeah, this Typhoon here, he's having a hard time because he missed his initial assault, and I set him on fire with a lucky hit from a 13mm. Usually this doesn't happen, and of course at this point in time he takes me down, but I take him with me. So the scenes that are following now are part of a bet that I had with one certain Gaijin employee who said something like, if you manage to use it as a bomber hunter, I will eat a broom. So I hope you have your ketchup ready because it's gonna be a long bite. Okay, this is now the zoom climb braking maneuver that you need to do to sit in front of a B-17. Now, allied players in particular, thank you for just flying in a straight line and not be able to move with your plane because, of course, it's impossible to do so. So I have to cut the throttle because, again, the Heinkel 177 is that fast. And with the full bomb load of 6.6 tons, I need to do a zoom climb to still get out the energy of the system in order to bring the B-17 close enough. This is not a Lincoln, which is by default slower and you just have to curve in and then let the 20mm rip. No, you have to do it and watch how it goes. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh yeah, this is cool. But watch how quick they overheat. Watch how quick the 13mm overheat. And then I get a good engine fire. A good engine fire. And he doesn't shoot back. I'm out of the range of his AI gunners, or where the AI gunners shoot. And yeah, even if he shoots me, I don't take that much damage, do I? And so he begins to drop, he begins to slow down, and this is now the time where I know I get the kill. So let's move on to the next battle. And this is again a B-17 that I attack. And this was just in short notice, so I didn't record the full battle, so you couldn't see how I sit myself in front of him. Sorry about this, but he goes down, and this is another player in another battle, again with the full bomb load. So this is how incredible awesome the engine power is. To sit in front of the enemies and still out-accelerate them with their 4 engines. So yeah, there I get the kill. And let's move on, and let's just do some bombing here. I missed the opportunity on a B-17, which actually did the smart part and just turned away after he saw me coming. I tried to still hunt him down, but I took myself a bloody nose, aka one engine is dead. And yeah, I dropped my 4 tons here on the battlefield, on the airfield, which now will become a battlefield. And now I want to turn away and want to make my way back to the actual airfield to maybe rearm and maybe get the bigger bomb load. Sadly, very often you get an air start, so you then have to land, bail out, then get a new full fresh big bomb load. But I think overall the performance gain by losing 2.6 tons of weight is enormous, especially with the bomb pylons actually adding another track. And this is an F4U4, and I show him just a small profile. He zoom climbs me. Thank you, sir, for the easy win. And that was a pilot snap. Very, very satisfying. Another battle. Let's move on. And this is against a PB4Y. No. And yeah, there just before I could turn into him, I actually messed up the turning in curve point a little bit, so I take much more damage from his defensive gunners than I wanted to, but I was distracted by this Griffin Spitfire, which didn't have the engine power to zoom climb me because I was too fast and too high. And there we can see how inaccurate the shots are. Despite some of them hitting, the majority misses, but now the 20mm kicks in and kicks hard. And this is just gunner practicing, and we get a critical hit in, so at least I get a kill assist because he will not make it home. And there you can see the Griffin Spitfire in the rear, while I maneuver here a little bit with the rudder and so forth. Again, manual controlling and trying to make it back into the line of flight of the PB4Y. I see that he is already going down slowly but steadily. He's still shooting me, but I get little to no damage from those 50 cals at that range because I'm also flying away, and I'm concentrating here on the Spitfire. And yeah, you can see how slow the master velocity is of both the 30mm and the 20mm, but eventually they will hit home. Mwah! Double kill. I love it. So you again with the full bomb loads, you see. And now, how about dueling a really big bird? How about a B-29? Again, I missed up here the turning in point a little bit. It's really a lot of practice, wiggling with the rudder in the right way. And yeah, the plane just zooms up in a way that I didn't want to do it. And the B-29 was actually faster than I anticipated. So I'm actually now directly under him. Let's see how this goes. He already has shot both my engines to pieces in the quick time that it took. And look at this rainbow. And there we can see how his engines begin to smoke. And yeah, he takes a lot of damage. He has lost a flap, and I'm still hammering him. And you can see how quick they overheated. And now I'm taking damage from a lot of 50 cals, even the quadruple 50 caliber turret on top of it, and because he bails over and just a little machine gun is left. I have now the 13mm reloaded in time, so the gunner skills are important, at least in this department. And at the end of the day, he bails out, and I get the kill for my eternal surprise that he actually bailed out. I mean, I would have gotten the kill later on, or at least a kill assist, and yeah, rank doesn't matter. And this is if you tunnel vision. So this is again a B-17, and this time I have it better with the turning in point, at least in the first part. And you have to anticipate where the bomber is going, but gladly enough, Gaijin gave you some orientation points. For example, your own bombing points. This is the way that the enemy bombers are going. And we can see immediately the engines begin to smoke, and he gets a critical hit, he gets a fire. And I do actually not look onto the radar too much, and I turn in back, and I don't look a bit more to the right, otherwise I would have seen the plane coming that is about to come. And let's see how it goes. So again, I turn around, and this is just with the 4-ton bomb load, and now I saw a glimpse of the Hornet, but I didn't expect him to turn into me like that. B-17, as usual, very often they extinguish the fire. I set him on fire again. He now has a lot of problems, and yeah, he burns pretty well, and now he just jinks over, or I don't know how to say it, and now the Hornet is coming in and he has a perfect fire solution. My plane rolls out of the way, so I couldn't get perfect guns on him, and yeah, he saw off my wing, and when I'm going down I observed the B-17 also going down, and this is a dive that he will not be able to get out of. And this is much more exciting than just to simply drop the spacebar, and I happily take the chance to intercept B-17s any day of the week and to finally get a kill on them. And then 2 very quick defensive gunner kills. I have no idea why I have here no sound. Oh well, yeah, that was while I was talking to my squad leader, and so he's recorded, so I took out the recording. Yeah, that was why. And you could see the points are close together, and well, there are 2 Spitfires coming in, and this is with my defensive gunners, and yeah, let's see how it goes. I tried to make the plane not just wiggle. I tried to go back to the airfield and drop some more, or at this point in time I wanted to go for the ground units, but I pilot sniped the Seafire, and now let's have a look at how the other Spitfire is doing, if he is just happily flying in a line, and eventually he fires on me, but again I kill him. I have no idea what I hit. That was a nice double strike, but the scene is not able because there is another plane, which is an F-82. Yeah, especially with the gun pods, they are highly dangerous and one of the best interceptors against this plane, but very often they just can't deal with a bomber that is maneuvering, or they mess up their one perfect approach that they have, and afterwards they're just flying around like donkeys. However, there is another Spitfire coming in, and watch what I'm doing. Now I have the Satan bombs ready, and I have enough bombs after that to deal with ground units, and I want to bomb this guy. Now the stupid stuff here is that this is actually a non-German plane, so he comes in, and around about now I drop the bombs because I know that he wants me. Where are the bombs? Come on, I released it maybe a little bit too late, and yeah, I critted him, and as it turned out in the replay, he lost an entire wing. He lost an entire wing, and I went down onto the buildings and crashed, and the F-82 got the hit, and yeah, that is a bit of a shame. However, the Spitfire will survive the battle, otherwise I would have gotten also 3 kills in this match. Now, another thing that I want to point out is this. So this is one of the last matches that I played, and while it will take a few minutes to fully go into it, I just wanted to share it with you how I used the plane and how funny it was. So we have some German planes here and some Allied planes, and the funny thing is I use it here as a gunship. I want to be the distraction. I can take the hits. I can now no longer have a fast, quick, decisive impact on the outcome of the battlefield. I need to return to the battlefield and then go for some airfields maybe, and or also some ground units. And while I easily could do this, it would be kind of a waste of time, and I'm not quite sure if my team has enough time left. So the NC-900, which is basically a Focke-Wulf, is not really paying attention. I tried to go for the Spitfire, but he already goes down. Just that Spitfire is a balanced Spitfire. Even dead Spitfires can kill you. No, I'm not joking. And so I turn around for the NC-900. But the NC-900 is an easy kill. Why? Because it's a German plane for all intents and purposes. And there he goes. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. At this point in time, I'm playing a little bit of Overwatch. I can take the hits, and there is there a first customer? Well, on the radar, I'm not quite sure if this is still the NC-900. No, there is the P-51, and Did he try to rocket me? Yeah. He tried it, he did his best efforts, and he's going after this other bomber. And look what you can do with this quote-unquote heavy bomber. And sadly, the gunship did not know that you can use your elevator and your rudder to evade something like a P-51. Granted, the gunship might have been surprised. The gunship doesn't have the best defensive armament, and so I tried to get shots on the P-51, but it was not to be. Sadly, NT turns around and I turn into him. Now, you can pull the full 4 to 5 Gs, but at higher speeds, if you pull it too long, your wingtip will rip off. And so the P-51 actually traded with the Tau 154A, which is kind of funny, because he had all the advantages in the game, but because he's American, he needed to go into a head-on, didn't he? So, the one remaining enemy player is now a P-47, and the only remaining player on my side, except me, is a Bf-109. And now I pop the smoke, and you know, I'm just no, this is not a French war flag. I try to make them just for the contrail, you know, at high altitude, which looks amazing, especially with something like a BV-238. But this is why I have them white. Nevertheless, I want to interfere here, and I'm going in without fear against the P-47 and the Bf-109, because the Bf-109 is a Bf-109 and the P-47 is a P-47, and he had the altitude advantage, 50 cals versus German armament, yada yada yada. The P-47 can easily wreck me and the Bf-109, which is already smoking. However, I need to take my chances here. I don't want to lose here. And this could have been the end for me, and I'm kind of stalling out here, but I'm, you know, scared here, the P-47 away. And this is the gunner control. I aimed way ahead, but the gunners are just very sluggish, like on so many other bombers. And now he's on my tail, and I try to get the shots in. I get some hits, some sparks, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful graphics in War Thunder. Never have been the sparks look better, or never have the sparks look better than now. And while I don't get the deadly strike in, I actually managed to hit him once or twice with the 30mm. And now he's playing passively, and this is where the mind game starts, because he tries to escape. We are in the rough direction of his airfield, so I want to hunt him down. Again, my engines have more power output, and he wants to follow up the strike on the Bf-109, and now I'm sitting behind the P-47. And whatever it does, there is a chance that I can get into gunner range and gun him down or damage him. I can take the hits. We have a bit of a point advantage. Even if he rams me, we would win. And so he turns in the P-47N, which is an extremely powerful plane, and I tried to gun him down, but he goes way lower than I anticipated, and now I see that he seems to have some struggle, but I didn't see a smoke, so he tries to escape again. I'm having none of this. I'm not a passive space climbing bomber. I want the kill. P-47, you're so dead. You are so dead. This is how I play with my bombers, not just with a PV-2D, which every noob can play and get 3-4 kills in head-ons and yada yada yada. And now I'm getting into manual control, and I fire at him, he gets a hit and he can't pull up, and I get the kill and I win the game. So this is a very small glance in like 39 minutes of gameplay that I gave you about this plane. It's fantastic, it's good, it's versatile, it has some hidden gems. It's nothing for a new player, it's nothing for a noob. You have to be good, you have to have experience in gunning, you have to have experience in flying a bomber, a sluggish plane. If you're experienced with German fighters, you have a higher chance coming along with this plane like in any other nation's aircrafts. And this was just my way of saying, try it out and don't give up on this plane. There are a lot of issues, but there is no plane in the game that doesn't have any issues. And yes, it's so much more fun to hunt down enemy fighters and to wreck them, to destroy them, to be the guy that does the job. And does everything to win the game. As you could see in the end, this was one remarkable battle that I will always remember. Remember to communicate with your team, remember to hunt enemy bombers if you see a realistic chance of it, and how to maneuver to evade enemy fighters. There is so much detailed talk to talk about, so many more examples that I could show you, that I think about doing another video soon about this plane if you guys want it, and I hope you stayed with me with those 41 minutes that we were approaching. So at this point in time, I think it's enough. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see each other on the battlefields and in the skies of War Thunder. Happy bomber hunting, guys.